If you're out there working hard, wondering what's next, and feeling frustrated and unclear because you're not getting the right answers, this podcast is for you. Stop guessing and start building a future you actually want to be a part of. Welcome to the Be Future Ready podcast, hosted by Sarah Price, brought to you by Living Your Strengths. And it all starts now.
Rewritten it 6 times, you've had 3 people review it, you've paid for templates, you used every buzzword you know, and you're still not getting interviews. So obviously, the resume is the problem. Wrong. And I know that might not be the thing that you want to hear right now, but stay with me, because by the end of this episode, you're going to understand exactly what's actually getting in your way, and more importantly, what to do about it. So welcome back to Live in Your Strengths podcast. If this is your first episode, welcome. And today we're talking about one of the biggest myths in job searching, that your resume is why you're not getting hired. And here's a spoiler alert. It's usually not. And understanding the real reason, it changes everything. So let's go. Let's start with some numbers that might make your jaw drop a little. And in 2024, PathRise report found that the average job seeker spent 294 applications before landing a job. And that's a 14% jump from the year before. And the Bureau of Labor Statistics say that job hunts now take an average of almost 6 months. So here's the number that changes everything. Research consistently shows that up to 70% of jobs are never publicly advertised. So some estimates put it at even higher, closer to 80%. And when I worked in corporate, this is true. There's certain laws that we have to abide by, like posting the position for a certain amount of days. But a lot of times we already had people that were either referred to us, someone internally was interested, so we posted the role, and then we found someone already, and then we took the posting down. And a lot of people that come to me are like, Sarah, I just saw this job, the posting's already down. That's because they already have someone in mind, and it's not been publicly advertised. So a LinkedIn workforce report put it this way: 85% of jobs are filled through networking. 85% through networking. I hope you're hearing me. Especially Gen Z and young professionals and young adults. I know you don't like networking face-to-face, and you would prefer to do it on social or behind your computer, but we're going to talk about something different today, okay? So if you're spending 90% of your energy on your resume and job boards, and you're sitting behind your computer, you're competing for roughly 15 to 30% of the available opportunities. You're fighting for scraps, and you don't even know it. Now, here's where Harvard Business Review comes in. A landmark study from Harvard Business School and Accenture found that 88% of employers believe their applicant tracking systems, those are the automated resume scanners that I talk about in my other podcasts with you guys, are screening out qualified candidates whose backgrounds don't fit a rigid, narrow checklist. They even gave these overlooked candidates a name: hidden workers. And there are over 27 million of them in the US alone. Skilled, capable people filtered out by an algorithm before a human even lays eyes on their resume. So, is your resume maybe part of the issue? Sure, and we'll get to that. But it's almost never the whole issue. So let's talk about the real problem. Most job seekers are playing the wrong game entirely. And in another episode, and I'm going to talk about AI and resumes and applying, that's a whole nother topic. So let me tell you about someone I'll call Jasmine, okay? Jasmine's 25. She has a communications degree, 2 solid internships. She's been applying for marketing coordinator roles for 4 months, and that's 60 applications. And she's gotten exactly 2 interviews. 2. And she came to me convinced her resume was broken. She'd had it reviewed, reformatted, rewritten. She's paid for a ton of resume sites. By the way, let me just go off on a little tangent for a second. I want you to go into your subscriptions and see how many automated resume sites you're paying for, because they're like, oh, for $20, for $9.99, for this, and then they're automatically renewing you. So can you please go in your subscriptions and cancel some of those, because you're probably overpaying, because you're like squirrel, 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 and every Instagram and TikTok is selling you something new about some new AI or writing tool, and I don't want you overspending, okay? So if you are comfortable with one site, fine, but please, please cancel the rest, because you're wasting a ton of money. Anyway, I digress. So she was losing her mind, and here's actually what I found when I looked at her situation. I looked at her resume, and it was actually fine, genuinely fine. It wasn't perfect. It didn't have all the ATS words that we needed her to have, but it was okay. So what wasn't she doing when I dug in further? Anything beyond submitting applications, she wasn't connected to anyone inside the companies. She wasn't engaging with her content in her industry or on LinkedIn or anything that she was interested in. And she had never once reached out to a hiring manager directly. She had no recommendations in her LinkedIn. She never asked a former professor or supervisor to put in a word for her. So she was really playing what I call an invisible game. She was clicking apply and waiting. And that's not anything to feel bad about, but a majority of the clients that I work with that come to me and that are frustrated, that's what they're doing, clicking apply and waiting. So here's what's changed. With Jasmine, we spent 1 week doing 3 things differently, okay? You can write this down if you want. Number 1, she commented thoughtfully on 5 LinkedIn posts from people in her target companies. She sent 4 short, genuine messages to alumni from her school who worked in marketing that already have jobs in some of her target companies, and she asked her last internship supervisor to write her a LinkedIn recommendation. So by the end of week 3, she had 4 interviews lined up, because now she's getting in front of people that she knows, likes, and trusts her already. So 2 of which came from people who reached out to her, same resume, but a completely different strategy. So if it's not the resume, what is it? So let me name 3 things, okay? And I'm intentionally going to give you these from my experience in HR and running recruiting teams and setting up the applicant tracking systems. So problem number 1, you're invisible where it counts. Recruiters aren't sitting around waiting for your application to land in their inbox. And according to LinkedIn data, complete LinkedIn profiles are 40 times more likely to receive opportunities. 40 times. And yet most people have a profile that looks like they filled it out once in college and forgot about it. So you have to be findable. You have to show up. You have to be active in spaces where decision makers spend their time. Okay? Problem number 2, you're relying on cold applications in a warm referral world. Research shows that referred candidates, these are people who are recommended by someone inside the company, are 15 times more likely to be hired than someone who applied cold through a job board. 15 times. And referrals only make up 7% of the application pool, but they account for 30 to 50% of all hires. So what does that mean? You're not building relationships. You're already at a massive structural disadvantage before you even hit submit. Okay, problem number 3. Your resume might be optimized for humans, but not for robots. So here's the reality of the modern application process. And in most mid to large companies, your resume goes through an applicant tracking system before a human ever sees it. And these systems scan for specific keywords from the job description. So if you're missing them, even if you're fully qualified, you get filtered out. Now, I'll have a whole nother podcast about AI, and now there's all this data that's coming out about thousands and thousands of people using AI to write their resumes, and now you're not being seen as different, or your skills are not being highlighted. Your humanness is not coming out. So this is changing, okay? Everyone's using AI to write a resume and all these sites that you guys are paying for. And now recruiters are getting frustrated because all your resumes look the same. So I need you to keep that in mind. That's a whole nother separate problem, okay? So the rule of thumb, most career experts recommend aim for at least 75 to 85% keyword alignment between your resume and the specific job description you're applying to. That doesn't mean taking your current resume and the job description, have AI write this fake resume for you that you didn't do any of these things of the keywords that the job description's telling you, okay? So not one resume for everything, a targeted resume for each application. But I also don't want you having 15 resumes. So we'll talk about that later. Okay, here are 4 action items to do this week. If you do not have a notebook, I need you to get a notebook, open your notes in your phone, okay? Put your app on. So let's make this practical. Here's what you can do starting today. Action item number 1. I want you to audit your LinkedIn profile right now, today. I want you to open your profile and I want you to answer these questions honestly. 1, do you have a professional photo? Okay, and is it close enough? Not with 3 people, you're at the beach, okay? That's number 1. Number 2, your headline. This is not just your job title. Went to X school, data analyst. No. It needs to tell people what you do and what value you bring. Those are called competencies and signature qualifications. That needs to be your headline. Then you move down to your about section. Does this sound like a human wrote it? Okay, or did a resume spit it out or did AI spit it out? Write it from a human perspective. People want to know who you are. Then for each job, have you listed your top 5 skills? LinkedIn lets you put your top 5 skills. Make sure those are the ones that differentiate you from everyone else applying to the same jobs you are. Then at the bottom of LinkedIn, do you have the recommendation section on? And do you have at least 2 recommendations? And if you answered no to 2 or more of those, that's your first project this week. Okay, and I want to tell you a quick story about recommendations. 2 things. Number 1, in LinkedIn, recommendations are critical because LinkedIn has a very robust system that only allows you to get recommendations when you ask for them. And when you ask, they have to be approved by the person that you're asking. Then they come back to you and you can't release that recommendation until you click approve. So every recommendation that you get in LinkedIn is like a reference. So 20 years ago, when I was sitting opening up paper resumes and calling references on the phone, we don't do that anymore, okay? Because I'm calling your uncle who's like giving you a reference. I don't know who I'm calling. So we're not doing that anymore. LinkedIn is being used for references and your recommendations can be references. Really, really important, okay? Because people know and recruiters know and hiring managers know that those recommendations are legit because they go through an extensive approval process from you and the recommender. Okay, that's number 1. Then number 2, quick story. When I was interviewing years ago, I had built up all my recommendations. I think I have 32 recommendations now or 39 recommendations, and I still keep asking for them. It was between me and another candidate. Okay, I'd gone through this whole interview process and the VP calls me and says, honestly, Sarah, it's between you and another person. I was like, okay. He calls me back and he says, we actually are going to offer you the job. And I said, amazing. I'm so excited, but I'm really curious. I knew this was a competitive process. I knew that it was between me and someone else because you told me that. Why did you hire me? And he goes, honestly, it's because we looked at your recommendations and you had 32 of them. And so you had 32 legitimate recommendations which served as references. And that's why I got the job. So I don't want you sitting here stressing out like, oh my gosh, I don't have any. How am I going to get 32? I need you to get 2. So we need to start with that, okay? That is all action item number 1. We're going to move on to action item number 2. I need you to start tailoring and stop mass applying. I know it feels efficient to send 30 applications with the same resume, but it's not. I don't need you to redo your entire resume, but I need you to have the right applicant tracking system words for the jobs that you're applying to, okay? So when you are applying to 30 applications with the same resume, you are creating the illusion for yourself of effort, and it's not effort, okay? That's wasted time. So for your next 5 applications, I want you to do this instead. I want you to update your resume to authentically reflect those skills in the job description. Also, I used to hate cover letters. I actually love cover letters now because all of the resumes look the same because everyone's using AI. And I'm like, when I get a cover letter and I can actually see the human in this, I'm actually calling them. So if you don't want to update your resume to all the different keywords because you're an accountant and all the job descriptions have the same ATS words, then I need you to customize a cover letter for each of those jobs. And don't have AI write it. You can have AI write the draft, but then I need you for it to come from your heart and your humanness of who you are, because as recruiters and hiring managers, we can see when AI writes it and you just spit it out, okay? So 5 tailored applications will outperform 50 generic ones every time. And I need you to remember that. Okay, we're on action item number 3. I need you. This is so important. I hope you're hearing me. I need you to activate your network, even if it feels awkward. You don't have to know someone on the inside to reach out. LinkedIn makes this easier than ever. So here is a simple message template that works. Okay, write this down or you can re-listen to this and rewind. Hi, so-and-so, hiring manager, recruiter name, whatever. I came across your profile while researching company name. I'm currently exploring opportunities in data analytics, HR, marketing, whatever, and I really admired. Then this is the thing. I want you to write something specific about their work or their company. I love the core values of so-and-so company. I love how you've been in this company for 15 years. You must really love it. I love how you've been at the company for 3 years. I'd love to learn more about your experience there. Period. That's it. No asking for a job, no desperation, just curiosity and respect. So I want you to send 5 of these this week. Even if 2 respond, that's 2 doors that were previously closed, okay? So if you do nothing in 0, you're gonna get 0 results. You need to do something to get results, okay? Action item number 4, I want you to ask for 1 recommendation today. I want you to think of 1 person, a former manager, a professor, a coworker, maybe a client who's seen your work and respects it. Send them a LinkedIn recommendation today, and I want you to keep it simple, and this is what I want you to say. I'm actively job searching, and I would love to add a recommendation from you, if you're open to it. I really valued working together on blah, 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 project, et cetera, et cetera. And recommendations are social proof that I mentioned before. In a world where hiring managers can't always talk to references before making a shortlist decision. Okay, it's really, really important. And they're always gonna check your LinkedIn before they interview you. So they're checking your LinkedIn for everything I just mentioned. And when they see recommendations, they're getting immediate proof right there, okay? And recommendations on your profile work for you. So here's what I want you to walk away with today. Your resume is a tool, not a magic ticket. So it gets you past the first filter, but in today's job market, what gets you the interview is almost always a relationship, a referral, or a profile that made someone want to learn more. So stop putting all your energy into perfecting a document and start putting energy into building presence and connections. Because the job market isn't fair. It isn't. And the people landing roles are not always the most qualified. They're the ones often just being more strategic. So you can be strategic starting today. So do the LinkedIn audit, tailor your next 5 applications, send those 5 messages, ask for that recommendation, and 1 week of focused effort can shift the entire trajectory of your search. And if you're really, really overwhelmed with this, you don't know where to start, you want some one-on-one help, please reach out, schedule a free chat with me, and I'll get you going in the right direction. And you can find me at liveinyourstrengths.com.
Thanks for joining us. Now, take the momentum and share this episode with someone in your world who is ready to stop guessing and start building. For personalized one-on-one strategy, book your free consultation with Sarah at livingyourstrengths.com. New episodes drop every Monday, so hit follow and never miss a breakthrough. Now go live in your strengths. This podcast is filmed at the Make Your Day Richer studio and edited by Richard Wilmore.